Hello all, welcome to the new session of tutorial class. So I'm going to present a tutorial class on the topic Beckman rearrangement. So this is one of the important rearrangement reaction that we need to learn, and this is a reaction exclusively for explaining the migration of an aryl or alkyl group to electron deficient nitrogen. So this particular rearrangement reaction comes under the class of rearrangement to electron deficient nitrogen. So let me start my session by sharing the screen. Yeah. So here we go with the topic Beckman rearrangement. All right. So let us see what is this reaction. So this is an acid catalyzed conversion of ketoxins to corresponding amides. Okay, so this reaction is named as Beckman rearrangement, and it has got its name after the scientist Ernest Otto Beckman. And this particular reaction involves the conversion of ketones to ketoxin. Later, these ketoxins will be converted into amide. Amide means RCONH group. Okay, and this reaction is mainly used for ketones because aldehydes or aldoxins are less reactive to this reaction. And one more thing is like this reaction is applicable to both cyclic ketones and acyclic ketones. So Beckman rearrangement involves the conversion of ketones to corresponding amides, and it involves the rearrangement also. It involves the rearrangement of alkyl or aryl group to electron deficient nitrogen. And aldehydes are less reactive to this reaction, and this reaction is shown by both cyclic ketones and acyclic ketones. Now let us see the reaction. Look at here. Let me try to annotate. So the reactions will be more visible to you. Look at here. Here we start with a carbonyl compound. It can be either aldehyde or ketone, but assume this is a ketone. Okay, R C double bond O R dash reacting in the presence of hydroxylamine. It give away oxime. So what is oxime? R C double bond N OH. This is the functional group of oxime. Okay, so this is the first step. The first step involves the conversion of ketones to oxime in the presence of hydroxylamine. This is a very common reaction. If aldehydes we use, aldehydes will be converted into aldoximes in the presence of hydroxylamine. Or if we use ketones, ketones will be converted into ketoxin. Okay, two kinds of oximes are possible, aldoximes and ketoxins. But earlier in the beginning itself, I said that this reaction is shown by ketones most of the time because aldehydes are less reactive. So we are considering in our next discussions and all, we will be considering mainly, or we are emphasizing on ketones only. Okay, so ketones in the presence of hydroxylamine, it is getting converted into oxime. So you should know what is an oxime means. R C double bond N OH. This is a geometric isomer. Geometric isomer due to the restriction of rotation around carbon nitrogen double bond. Okay, so this oxime upon treatment with an acid. Okay, so different type of acids can be used as catalyst. Concentrated H2SO4, HCl, PCl5, PCl3, thionyl chloride, polyphosphoric acid. These are the variations. These are the different acids can be used for conversion of oximes to amide. Look at the structure of amide. R C double bond O NH R2. That means an amide derivative. So ketone or carbonyl compound is getting converted into amide through the formation of oxime and with the help of hydroxylamine hydrochloride NH2OH. And this oxime is getting converted into amide. So here involves the rearrangement actually. Okay, here involves the rearrangement, but this is an acid catalyzed reaction. Now let us see the mechanism of the reaction. And one more thing, this reaction, the earlier one is a case of acyclic ketone, okay, open chain compound. Now let us see a case of cyclic ketone. Now cyclohexanol, cyclic ketone, in the presence of hydroxylamine hydrochloride, will be converted into cyclic oxime. Because aldehydes or ketones, when we allow them to react with hydroxylamine hydrochloride, they will give away oxime. So cycloketones means cyclooxime. Okay, so here we use cyclohexanone, so we got cyclohexanoxime. Cyclohexanoxime. Now look at the structure, cyclohexanoxime in the presence of H2SO4, where here we are using H2SO4 as an acid catalyst. This is converted into lactam. Okay, in the earlier case we mentioned it as a amide. RCONH2 means amide, but this is also an amide only, CONH, but cyclic amide. So when the CONH group is present as the part of cyclic ring, we will call them as lactam. Okay, so this is known as caprolactam, and this caprolactam is one of the important compound with much industrial application, because caprolactam we are using for the preparation or synthesis of nylon polymer. All right. So what we understood here is like the Beckmann rearrangement is applicable to acyclic ketones and cyclic ketone, and both of the time, both the cases, the reaction mechanism is same. So let us see the mechanism of the reaction. Yeah. So here we start with the mechanism. So as I said earlier, there are two steps involved in the reaction. First step is formation of oxime. Okay, the ketones will be converted into oxime in the presence of hydroxylamine hydrochloride. Later, these oximes in the presence of acid or oximes on treatment with acid catalyst like HCl or H2SO4, they will be converted into amide. Okay, N-amide, RCONH2. All right. Now let us see the mechanism of Beckmann rearrangement. So here we start with a ketone, acetophenone, C6H5, C double bond of CH3. And acetophenone, as this is the first step involves a conversion of ketone to oxime. So we started with acetophenone and we got oxime at the end. This is acetophenone oxime. All right. So there are two substituents are present, CH3 and C6H5, R1 and R2, C double bond, ketone. Ketone is getting converted into oxime in the presence of hydroxylamine, NH2OH. And this is a carbonyl compound. And nitrogen having a pair of non-bonding electrons. So naturally, we can assume that this is a nucleophilic addition. And many times I said that as far as organic synthesis is concerned, most important reaction is nucleophilic addition reaction, because many of the places or many of the time we will come across nucleophilic addition. Nucleophile will attack the carbonyl carbon and carbonyl carbon will be opened. But unlike to the very common cases that we discussed earlier, like normally the nucleophilic addition will be a base catalyzed reaction as far as most of the organic synthesis is concerned. But here it is acid catalyzed nucleophilic addition. Okay, so why we use base catalyzed nucleophilic addition? Because to generate the nucleophile, base when react with the hydroxylamine such compounds, they will be converted into minus NH2OH. NH2OH will be converted in the presence of base, it will be converted into minus NOH. Okay, sorry, minus NHOH. So minus NHOH is a nucleophile. It can attack the carbonyl carbon. But here, as it is an acid catalyzed reaction, it is progressing in a different way. So this is our substrate, carbonyl compound. Okay, so as an acid catalyst reaction, acid can donate the proton, so the H plus is coming here and it will be get added over oxygen, because oxygen having the pair of non-bonding electron, so oxygen can make a bond with this hydrogen to form OH, but that will leave a plus charge on oxygen because the non-bonding electrons of oxygen being used. Okay, so now in order to compensate this plus charge on oxygen, this pair of electron that exists between this carbon and oxygen through the pi bond will be shifted to oxygen. What happened then? What is the fate of carbon then? Since the pi electrons are used, carbon will have a plus charge. Okay, there the NH2OH can easily attack. Without being converted into a nucleophile itself, with the non-bonding electrons present on nitrogen, NH2OH can directly attack on this carbon. So this is how the acid catalyzed nucleophilic addition reaction proceed. Okay, so what happened here? Since this is an acid catalyzed reaction, H plus will be added over oxygen. That will leave a plus charge on the carbon. That means this addition of acid makes this carbonyl component more vulnerable to nucleophilic attack. So this NH2OH, by using its pair of electron, non-bonding electron on nitrogen, attacking on the carbonyl carbon. Okay, so what happened now? Already the pi bond is shifted to oxygen in order to compensate the plus charge on oxygen. So NH2OH is also attached. Now we have a tetrahedral structure. That means carbon connected to 4 different groups. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a compound. Okay, so but this nitrogen have a plus charge. Why? Because the non-bonding electrons of nitrogen being used while it is attacking the carbonyl carbon. The NH2OH attacked on the carbonyl carbon without being converted into a nucleophile. So as a ionic species, it will try to neutralize the charge and it will try to attain stability. So that is possible by deprotonation. The hydrogen will go out as a proton by leaving the pair of electron on nitrogen. So this is simple only. Acid catalyzed reaction, we added acid. We added one acid molecule, one as H plus ion. So acid being a catalyst, it will be used to increase the rate of the reaction, and at the end of reaction, it will be uh, retained as acid pack. That is what a catalyst means. Catalyst is a substance which will chemically unchange at the end of the reaction. So H plus we added, and H plus is coming out also. So now what is our structure? Now we have a stable molecule. Carbon is connected to 4 different groups where we have NHOH here. Okay, what is the next step? Now this there involves an elimination reaction. Actually, we need to get oxy. Oxy means C double bond NOH compound. Okay, geometrical isomer. What happened here actually is, if I say it in very simple way, this OH and H is are 2 groups which have proximity. Okay, which are neighboring groups. So they will get eliminated as H2O. That will leave a carbon nitrogen double bond. And that's what we can see here, CCH3C6H4 double bond NOH. Okay, but the same reaction, the simple elimination, they are explaining a different way. See, when by using the non-bonding electrons of nitrogen, nitrogen can make a bond with this carbon, but that leaves a plus charge on nitrogen. And when these non-bonding electrons are being used for making a bond, and then the bond is created between nitrogen and carbon, carbon already have 4 valency, it cannot accommodate 5 valency, so OH will go out. So this is the resulting structure. The non-bonding electrons of nitrogen were used to make a bond with carbon, and OH went outside, and nitrogen have a plus charge now, because since we use the non-bonding electron. So next, this molecule being ionic, it will try to attain stability by deprotonation. So H plus will go out, leaving it's a pair of electron to nitrogen. Now we got oxygen. So the thing which happened is same, elimination only. OH and H will be eliminated as water molecule to give away oxygen. Okay, so what is oxygen? R, C, R1, double bond, NOH. Okay, so this is the first step. So what is the second step? Second step involves the conversion of oxygen to amide in the presence of acid. So in order to simplify the reaction, I will be using, instead of CH3, I will be using R, and C6H5 will be using R2. Okay, let us look over here. Sorry, R1 and R2. Okay, so this R1, R2, look at here. What is this? C double bond NOH. Okay, R C double bond NOH. Everybody should remember the functional group of oxygen, then only you can understand this reaction. So instead of C6H5 and CH3, I will be using R1 and R2, C double bond NOH. Here the reaction is shown in a vertical form, so nothing to get confused with it. So what happened here? Okay, so here we start with our second stage of Beckmann rearrangement, and rearrangement happening here only. So this is oxygen, which got from the first step, R1, C, R2, double bond NOH, to which I already said that acid catalyzed conversion of ketoxins to corresponding amide. So acid would be used. So what are the different type of acids can be used? HCl, H2SO4, PCl5, POCl3, SOCl2, polyphosphoric acid. These are the different options. So when H plus is added, H plus naturally will go to this OH of the oxygen to form OH2, because the non-bonding electrons of oxygen being used, and since it is used, hydronium ion is formed with the plus charge on oxygen. Now it's an ionic species. Okay, so as soon as it got an ionic nature, it will try to attain stability. Okay, so attaining stability is possible by elimination of this OH2 as water molecule. Okay, so if this OH2 has to be eliminated as water molecule, it will take the pair of electron between this oxygen and nitrogen. It will go out as water molecule, but that will leave the nitrogen a plus charge. That means I said no in the beginning, here involves the migration of aryl or alkyl group to electron deficient nitrogen. So here by elimination of this water molecule, the nitrogen become electron deficient. Now the group which is present on carbon, okay, there are two groups are present, R1 and R2. Normally the group which is anti to this earlier hydroxyl group, that we can see here R1, it will be shifted to nitrogen. This is the tendency, this is the trend. The group which is anti to the hydroxyl group of oxime, that will be shifted to nitrogen. What kind of nitrogen? Electron deficient nitrogen. That means R1 will be coming over to nitrogen. That you can see here. R1 is connected to nitrogen. And what is the fate of this carbon? When this R1, by taking its pair of electron coming to nitrogen, why it is coming to nitrogen? Because this OH2 is eliminating as water molecule. That leaves a plus, that makes this nitrogen electron deficient. Because that then only the R1, because it is an electron deficient nitrogen, then only R1 is coming to the nitrogen. But when R1 coming, R1 is taking its pair of electron and coming. So that will leave a plus charge on this carbon. So that is clearly represented here. R2, C plus double bond N R1. Okay, so let us see what happened in the next step. Okay, the same reaction, R2, C plus double bond N R1. Okay, don't get confused. R2, C plus double bond N R1, the same thing. This is a resonance structure only, the possible resonance structure I have given here, but you need not to worry about it. Look at structure here, R2, C double bond N R1, to which now the water molecule is there. One water molecule is eliminated, no, that is there in the reaction mixture, that is water. So that water will be added over to this carbon now. Okay, the carbon have a plus charge, you know, because carbon lost its R1. R1 now migrated to nitrogen. So that plus charge, the molecule try to compensate by making a bond with water, where water having the pair of non-bonding electron. Again, if you look at the structure here, this since the non-bonding electrons of oxygen being used, this oxygen have a plus charge. Okay, so being an ionic molecule, it will try to attain stability by deprotonation. So one hydrogen will go out and the pair of electron will go back to oxygen. So that create our enolic structure, R2, C, OH double bond N R1. Now you can easily relate. What I said in the beginning, I said that this involves the conversion of ketone to oxime. Later that oxime will be converted into amide, R, C double bond O, NH, R1. That means this is the enolic form, R2, C, OH double bond N R1. This can tautomerize into the ketone. Ketone means C double bond O will be formed and this H will be shifted to nitrogen. Okay, kind of tautomerism, a kind of isomerism. R2, C double bond O, NH, R1. So this is how Beckmann rearrangement works. So there are two steps involved here. First step is conversion of ketone to oxime, and later these oximes in the presence of acid, they will undergo the Beckmann rearrangement. Beckmann rearrangement means first there will be electron deficient nitrogen. Okay, look at here, when we add acid to the OH, OH will become OH2. So this OH2 will have a tendency to go out as a water. That makes the nitrogen electron deficient. So now the group which is anti to the OH in the earlier structure will be migrating. This is what Beckmann rearrangement. Rearrangement means atoms or groups are getting rearranged from one position to another position. So R1 from the C is getting rearranged to nitrogen. Okay, and when it is getting rearranged, because it is coming out with a pair of electron only, that leaves a plus charge on carbon. Okay, so look at here. Now the plus charge on carbon is compensated with the addition of water which eliminated in the last step. Okay, so when we add water, again oxygen have a plus charge. So in order to compensate the plus charge, deprotonation. Okay, one hydrogen will go out. All right, because it's a catalyst, no acid catalyst. We added one H plus here. So whatever the H plus we added, it has to go out. That is what catalysis means. Okay, catalyst will remain chemically unchanged at the end of the reaction. So that H plus is going out, leaving an enolic structure of an amide. So this enol, when it converted into a ketone, we are getting R2C double bond NHR1. That's our amide. All right. So this is the Beckmann rearrangement in the case of acyclic compound. So let us see what happened with the cyclic compound. All right. Look at the structure here. This is a cyclohexanone. Okay. And cyclohexanone. So here also two steps. First steps involve the conversion of cycloketone into cyclooxime, and the cyclooxime later converted into corresponding lactam. Lactam means cycloamide or cyclic amide. So ketone in the presence of hydroxylamine hydrochloride. In the later stage, I said that in earlier cases, I said that it is a acid catalyzed nucleophilic addition. So NH2OH, when we add to the carbonyl carbon, what happened? NH2OH being with the pair of non-bonding electron, it attack on the carbonyl carbon. Now C double bond is converted into CO minus, which we can understand easily. Okay. Now this nitrogen have a plus charge. So in order to complete the reaction happen in a little different way, but basically it is a nucleophilic addition only. NH2OH without being converted into a nucleophile itself, the attack is happening, and the C double bond are getting opened as CO minus, and the H plus that is coming from NH2OH so nitrogen have a plus charge. So this will try to attain stability by losing this proton. So this proton will join on this oxygen. The proton from NH2OH, one proton, one hydrogen, it will be eliminated as proton, and it will be join over this O minus to form this resulting structure. Okay, now look at here. What is next? What is next? Okay, now we have OH group is there, CNOH is there. So next step is an elimination reaction. We need to get C double bond N bond. So this OH is going out, and the pair of electron on nitrogen is shifting here, forming a C double bond N bond. Simple elimination. This OH and H has to be eliminated to form C double bond N. So how it happened here means this pair of electrons are shifted here. When it shifted over here, this OH cannot exist here because carbon is tetravalent only. It has to leave this OH group. So OH will go out, but that leave a plus charge on nitrogen. So in order to compensate the plus charge, this OH will abstract this hydrogen also. So that's what we see in the last case also. We will get C double bond NOH. Simply the elimination of OH and H from here to leave C double bond and OH. Okay. So the first step is complete. We got the oxime. What kind of oxime? Cyclohexanoxime or cyclooxime. Okay. So what is the next step? Next step is involved. Next step consists of conversion of oxime to amide. Okay, the amide formed here is known as caprolactam or lactam. So what happened here? So what happened in the earlier case? The resulting oxime we allowed it to react with acid. So H plus got added over OH. That we remember. Okay, so if we add H plus to this OH converted into OH2, leaving a plus charge on oxygen. Okay, now the very important step, because this OH2 will go out, and imagine the OH2 will go out in order to attain stability as water molecule. Then this nitrogen become the electron deficient nitrogen. So here is the most important step. Now the migration should happen. But if we look at here, what are the possible group to get migrate? We cannot find any group to get migrate. And this is a cyclic compound. What happened here? Look at here. This carbon 1 and carbon 2 bond will get break, and this carbon 2 will make a bond with this nitrogen. That means in the case of cyclic ketone, there involves a ring expansion. The 6-member ring is getting converted into 7-member ring through the ring cleavage. The ring is getting opened. Okay, and this second carbon is making a bond with nitrogen, and this 1,2 bond is broken. Okay, it got broke. Okay, so this second carbon now connected to nitrogen, and nitrogen as earlier, it is connected to the first carbon by double bond. Okay, but the first carbon now have a plus charge. Why? Because the second carbon is connected to first carbon through the bond. When this bond is broken, And this second carbon, the carbon at the second position attacking the nitrogen by using the pair of electron of first and second carbon. So when this bond is broken and when the second carbon at second position attacking the nitrogen, out of these two electrons, one electron of first carbon and one electron of second carbon. So both the electrons were used by second carbon. So now carbon 1 will have a plus charge. Okay, look at here in our earlier step, what happened? I just want to correlate. Okay, just a minute. Okay, look at here. What happened here? See here in the acyclic oxime, like acyclic ketone and resulting oxime, when we add H plus, OH become OH2, and this OH2 will have a tendency to go out as water molecule that makes this nitrogen electron deficient nitrogen. Now R1, the group which is anti to the OH2, is migrating to nitrogen, but taking the pair of electron. That gives a plus charge on carbon. Okay, here also carbon got a plus charge. The carbon which is next to the nitrogen got a plus charge. And here also we can find that after the reaction, the carbon which is next to the nitrogen have a plus charge. Why? Because the carbon on the second position attacking the nitrogen by breaking the 1,2 bond. So when the 1,2 bond is getting break, out of this two electrons that is present in this bond, one electron of this carbon and one electron of this carbon, and these two electrons are used by the second carbon. So this carbon will have plus charge. Okay, that you can understand. Now what is the next step? The water molecule present over here, which is eliminated in this step, will be added over this oxygen. Sorry, this carbon. Okay, the water molecule which is present there, that will be get added over this carbon which is bearing a plus charge. So now we added OH2. Now oxygen have a plus charge because the non-bonding electrons of oxygen used. Now H2SO4 remaining as HSO4 minus now. So we added one acid. Second step, as I said earlier, acid is used as a catalyst. So initially we added H plus. So as a catalyst, it has to get back. So we are abstracting this hydrogen as a proton by using HSO4 minus, and H2SO4 will be retained back. As a catalyst, it will remain chemically unchanged at the end of the reaction. So what is the remaining structure? We will have the 7-membered ring which have a C double bond N bond with the OH. There is not OH2 because the second hydrogen is abstracted by the acid part. Okay, and we are regaining our acid. So now we have a 7-membered ring with the C double bond N bond with OH. Okay, this is the enolic form. Now assume what is the ketone form. Look at here. OH will be converted into double bond O, and hydrogen present over here will be shifted to nitrogen, and this is a cyclic amide, caprolactam. And NHCO group or CONH group is present as the part of a cyclic ring. We will call it as lactam. And what is the name of that lactam? Caprolactam. So this is a mechanism that is applicable to the cyclic ketones. Now let us see some other possibilities. Like I just want to discuss on the migratory aptitude. Okay, this is also one of the important topic as far as Beckmann rearrangement is concerned. So look at here, we started with a ketone, and that ketone is converted into oxime. So here they are calling the oxime as an anti-isomer and syn isomer. So usually you have to understand that an oxime means R, this is R, C, R dash, double bond, N, OH. Okay. Normally, like if H is present instead of CH3, okay, if imagine one H group H is present, hydrogen atom is present instead of CH3. If H and OH on the same side of the double bond, we will call as a syn isomer, SYN, syn isomer, according to the conformations of geometrical isomerism and stereochemistry, we will call it as a syn isomer, SYN. And imagine if CH3, instead of CH3, imagine hydrogen atom present, and hydrogen and OH is on the same side of this carbon nitrogen double bond, we will call it as a syn isomer. And this hydrogen and oxygen are opposite side, it will call as a anti-isomer. This is a very normal way of designating a oxime by giving syn and anti configuration. Okay, this is a way of representing or naming an oxime. Okay, provided if H is present, H and OH on the same side, then it is a syn isomer, SYN isomer, syn isomer, and H and OH on the opposite side of the double bond of C double bond N bond, then it is an anti-isomer. But if H is not present, then we have to look on the priority. Okay, so there are three different groups are present. One is aryl ring, then CH3, then OH. Then we have to look for the highest priority group according to our sequence rule. If highest priority groups are on the same side, we will call it as a syn isomer, and highest priority groups are on the opposite side, it is called as anti-isomer. So look at the groups here. Here we have, this is a double bond, and here we have one phenyl ring, CH3 ring, and OH. So OH will have highest priority, that will be the highest priority group. Then the second will be the aryl group or phenyl group, C6H5. So these highest priority groups are on the opposite side of the double bond. Then we call it as an anti-isomer. Okay, and look at here. Here the highest priority groups are on the same side. OH and aryl groups are on the same side. So we will call it as a syn isomer. We will call it as a syn isomer. OH and aryl group are on same side of the double bond. We will call it as a syn isomer. So one important thing you have to note down here is the group which is anti to the hydroxyl group will be the group that is migrating to nitrogen. Once we enforce the Beckmann rearrangement, once we implemented the reaction, Beckmann rearrangement will happen in a way the group which is anti to the hydroxyl group, opposite to the hydroxyl group, will be the group that is shifted to the nitrogen. So that you can understand by looking at the structure. Here the aryl group is the group which is anti to hydroxyl group. So this aryl group is supposed to get connected to nitrogen. Look at here, aryl group is connected to nitrogen, and this particular amide have a structure where the aryl group is directly connected to nitrogen. Look at here. Now, which one is the group opposite to hydroxyl group? Here, CH3 is the group that is anti to hydroxyl group. So CH3 has to connected to, or CH3 has to migrate to nitrogen. Look at the structure here. CH3 is getting connected to nitrogen, and the resulting amide have a structural pattern where the CH3 is directly connected to nitrogen. So by this you can understand that the group which is anti or opposite to hydroxyl group usually shift to nitrogen. For that you need to understand which is the syn-oxime and which is the anti-oxime. That's why I explained you the nomenclature also. Let us see one application also. Application of Beckmann rearrangement in pharmaceutical field. So here I explained to you the synthesis of paracetamol from phenol by using Beckmann rearrangement. So initially phenol is acetylated to form acetyl phenol, phenol COCH3, and then we allow the acetyl phenol to react with hydroxylamine. It is getting converted into an oxime, C double bond N OH. So what happened in the next step? This oxime. What is the first step? Ketones will be converted into oxime. What is the next step? The oximes, when we allow to react with the acid, they will be get converted into amide. So now, what happened? What are the two different possibilities here? What are the two different groups connected to carbon here? One is phenyl group, another one is CH3 group. Okay, so when we make this nitrogen in electron deficient nitrogen, these are the two possible groups that can be migrated to nitrogen. So here, the phenyl group or aryl group is the migrating group. So this aryl group will be connected to nitrogen here. So look at here, aryl is directly connected to nitrogen, and this is a resulting amide, CONH2. Okay, so this is a way how we synthesize paracetamol by using Beckmann rearrangement, and by this I am concluding my session. I believe this session is very useful to you. Thank you. Thank you.